So it was probably 2-3 years ago, as we started to get more equipment, build, increased our power usage, that we started having more mastitis trouble and more hairy wart trouble and cows kicking in the parlor and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was a little while that we dealt with it. It did show that we had a fair amount of voltage leaking out, going somewhere, and so then in the summer of 13 there is when we decided to put the system in and start working on the things that need to be in place for that. We put the Agrivolt system in, fired it up in the fall of 13 there, and we saw an improvement, but it wasn't, we still knew we had issues, and that's when we took the next step, and the transformer pole was really close to the parlor, and we did some more testing, and then worked with PP&L on totally isolating that out, and it seemed that that combination really fixed things. Well, we did notice the cows starting to calm down. Pretty much a night and day difference there. And then the mastitis and other things were more of a, as time went on and they continued to get further away from that stress, we started to see more and more benefits. And then as we look back, we realized how big of a difference it is. One of the things we saw was that we are, at one point we were treating maybe 3-4 cows a month, sometimes quite a bit more. We had a quarter milker that we used during milking, and most times we had somebody in that milker. And we had a very difficult time clearing up mastitis. We would take mastitis cultures and DNA samples, and a lot of times they would actually come back negative, that there was nothing wrong. And so that was one of the first things that we noticed. We are down to the point of maybe, every other month treating a cow, if that, and the mastitis cases really seem to respond. And the other things we're starting to notice, repro, I think, came up a tick. Production is just a little better. On the return end, we were usually trying to keep it around 200,000 with our somatic cell, and now we're down around 50 to 70,000 all the time. That puts us at 80-cent quality premium plus about a 30-cent adjustment on top of there, so $1.10 on average quality premium, and so that is going to add up, and the comfort and like I said, warts and that type of thing, cows limping. I think that I would say it could pay for itself within a year. We're definitely buying a whole lot less antibiotics. We were using Spectromast for mastitis. That was one of the ones we were having one of the best success with, but it's $45 a case or something, for 12 syringes, and so that and XNL, just a little while ago I opened my medicine cabinet and looked in, and it's like, I used to be in here often and pulling these things out, and now it's like you just don't use, you're not in there as much, and you don't use it nearly as much. Just in the fact of it being fun to farm again, I think it'd be worth it just on that account, because me and my wife talked about, we milk together all the time, and cows kicking milkers off, and she was feeling pretty uncomfortable with the number of the cows, the way they were acting, and we'd often say, this is just not the way farming's supposed to be, and yet we didn't know what to do about it, and so just in that aspect, it's tremendous. Just the whole, what you deal with day to day is just a whole lot more fun. Well, I like the fact that it does throw alarms whenever there's something that is off, and yeah, we did find issues with it already where we realized that there was a problem because of the time it was alarming. And it's fairly, on our smaller 80 cow operation, it's a little easier to know what was running when, and so yeah, it's nice to be able to look at that. And I would say that it certainly doesn't hurt to at least start into doing some testing. You can get some touch point voltages and things, even with a multimeter, that can at least show you if you have a drastic problem there. And I've come to realize how sophisticated and how difficult it can be to find, even though touch point voltages aren't there, doesn't mean that you don't have voltage problems. And so I think it's important to be sure that you're working with someone who has a lot of experience, and that's what drew me to Agrivolt and all the experience that they have. It just seems, when I see the difference, I see how much that voltage was taking a toll on their immune systems. And it seems once you take that stress away from their immune systems, that just, like I said, it shows itself in repro, but it also in hairy warts. We used to have to run the foot bath, every couple weeks in order to keep on top of that. Now we run it, every other month or something, one time, and it just seems like, yeah, we just don't have that as much trouble with that. And so other infections, little like hoof rot or udder sores that are caused by bacteria, we just don't have as much of that. At one time, that was really a problem. So night and day difference on immune response, I feel. Once you see it from the other side, yeah, you'd do it all over again in a heartbeat.